Well, good evening. Hello, hello, and welcome to Real Talk. Something else was there with the Cummings. It's cold outside.
It is. December, and it's getting cold.
Yes, they are. We will be heading for the holidays to Miami.
Sunny Florida.
Many things can interfere, stop us from living the life we truly want to live. We hold on to so much judgment, fear, and so many false beliefs that we're stuck and unable to move forward.
Your heart and soul can be healed easily and gently, and we can transform into the butterfly you desire to be.
Claudia assists her clients to create transformation at all levels by healing the heart and soul. She has studied many spiritual traditions and healing modalities in her quest to heal herself emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and now uses only the best of what she has learned with her clients.
She is able to easily access the core issues and beliefs that are holding you back and help you gently release a lifetime of blocked energy. On levels few people can access.
Claudia is a medical intuitive, shamanic healer, master energy emotional healer, clairvoyant, psychic, medium, pet communicator, healer, and author. She has been assisting clients to create deep transformation for more than 30 years. Welcome to our show, Claudia.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. We seem to have a little bit of noise, and I don't know where that's coming from. Can you hear us?
No, maybe is there
I'm having a little bit of trouble. Could it be my earphone?
Do you have it in on the right? On the right, because you know there's a speaker and there's a. Oh,
I have no idea. Here, I'll take it back out. Better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it was that then.
It was sounding like we were having wind coming in, wind tunnel coming in, and stuff like that. Anyway, so glad to have you back. We did this once before. It's almost been 2 years when we had you on the radio, and it was a different co-host. But we really enjoyed the time we spent with you back then, and we had lots of callers and viewers, and it was great.
Thank you.
So what's new since we last had you on the show?
Oh my God, my life has just totally changed. I mean, totally. The spirit put me through a dark night of the soul that has lasted a good 3 years, and I'm just now starting to come out the other side. It's like you have to be put into a position where you lose everything, kind of, you know, where you have nothing. You just it's total surrender, and it wasn't just on one level, but it was on all levels, like just totally everything's gone, start over again. Spiritually, who I was, go in and create me as something new. So it's been a really, really interesting 3-year period. It has been very interesting. And a lot of us have been through that in the last few years too.
It seems that it's pretty much the pattern with a lot of individuals in the past couple of years where life just took a 360, a lot of loss, but the loss came with a renewing of greater things and knowledge that many of us seem not to have.
Yes, we've been, you know, in the Bible, it talks about the dark night of the soul where you go into, like Jesus went into the Garden of Gethsemane, that was his dark night. And you have to reach a point of saying, I give up. I give up. I'm going to do whatever I'm supposed to do instead of just what I want to do. And you come out of it, it's like you're newborn. Like there's nothing the same. Everything's different. You don't have the same likes. You don't have the same desires. And it's getting to know such a deep, deep part of yourself. It feels like I'm more at peace with who I am. And I think you're going through that too, where you're becoming more at peace with who you are. And I think we're all having to go through that. We're all having to learn to love ourselves, because we've been taught all these years to love everybody else, that we're not important. And now we're being taught, love yourself. You are important too. And accept yourself. And loving means accepting. You know, that's part of love.
Right.
A total lack of judgment.
That's very true. A lot of individuals they think they love themselves, and they love themselves with a conditional. I love myself if I look a certain way, or if I'm able to be a certain way. And they're not really looking deep within on who they truly are. We've been taught to look at the media, to look at all these people that we want to emulate ourselves. And we forget to like just tap in who you really are.
Right, right. And we're being made to do that. We're not being given a choice. You know, before we were kind of given choices. We could do it if we wanted to, but now it's reached a point everybody has to do this now. We have to learn that unconditional love for everybody and everything.
Definitely.
And that's why so many of us are going through what we're going through.
And do you find that, is this something to do with a shift? They say Mother Earth did some sort of like shift in her axis. Does that have anything to do with what's taking place right now?
It's not just the shift on the axis, but there's been a lot of astrological things going on, different alignments and stuff, and we're coming very close to actually entering that age of Aquarius that we were taught when we were kids. You know, it's just now about to come into being. And that age of Aquarius is also going to be the fourth dimension. And the dimensions go along with the chakras. The third dimension is the physical fear, good and bad, you know, the things, you know, finding balance. Now we're moving into the fourth dimension, which is the heart. And that's all about love. And we're seeing, if you open your eyes and pay attention, we're seeing that everywhere, all around the world. People learning to love themselves and each other, and nobody in the world wants war anymore except the people that are making the wars. You know, everybody wants peace and love, and it's just really, it's beautiful to watch this happening right now. We're definitely living in very, very interesting times.
What's really amazing, you know, about this whole thing is that if you look at what's happening, you've got all these terrorist attacks and all these like crazy things that are taking place. People are probably very fearful, but they should realize that it's actually exciting, you know, that all these changes, like, you know, it may seem like there's a lot of chaos, but this chaos needs to take place in order for us to shed all the baggage and all the dead weight that we are carrying with us. Tell us a little bit about why we're living these exciting times. Go a little deeper for our viewers.
It's just a big, massive change where energy is coming in from the center of the universe, places that we've never felt energy from before. Even NASA has talked about these energies coming in from space, and it's love. It's just unconditional love from the center of the universe, and it's changing everybody. And when somebody has a lot of negativity in them, and you they get hit with that love energy, it's going to bring all of that stuff up from their depths to the surface. And so you're going to have this wild swing to the other side where people are going to become very violent because they're fighting, releasing what they've always known. And the more people release, the more peaceful it's going to get. And you'll notice in a lot of these places, okay, I'm getting a little out there now, where they have literally tried to start some race wars in different cities lately. And the people aren't doing it. You know, the people are going out on the streets, the white and the black together, and they're saying, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to love each other. that is just so beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to see.
And what's scary is sending these individuals out there to create ruckus and making it out to be like it's the people that are doing it, but it's not, because the dark side, which I like to call them, don't want to see peace. They want to divide so they can conquer, and if they keep us fighting one another, they win. So people have to raise their frequency, raise that love level in their heart, and instead of fighting one another, realizing that we're so much alike and that we're one and we need to unite.
Yes, that's very true. And you know, we've got it's even in our political era, we've got all of these Republicans that are so filled with hate, especially Donald Trump. I have never seen a person so filled with hate as he is. And then on the other side, you know, we've got people that are loving, and it's you know, Bernie Sanders that man just exudes love. And it's almost like even in our politics, we're going to be making a choice between love and hate. Which are we going to choose? You know, it's like humanity is being given a choice, or at least here in the United States, but it's happening in other countries too. And in other countries, they're choosing love. In Canada, they elected somebody that's against war, and he's pulling all the troops out, and you know, he's creating the changes that the people want, and that's happening all over the world.
I was able to travel to Israel several times throughout my life, and on the last trip that I did out there, I noticed that, you know, they were always talking about how Jerusalem was supposed to be a city of peace. That's what they call it, and you know, it's been in the news all the time, you know, and the Muslims and the Christians, and you know, that's always been like, you know, it's like a powder keg out there. And what I noticed was that the people that actually live there, they don't look for any kind of quarrel or riot with the other people groups that live within the bounds of the city. It's only those that come from the outside that stir things up, where these people, they just really just want to live in peace. They don't want to have that kind of war mentality or that divisiveness and all that. And I just thought that was interesting, because you were talking about, you know, the fact that in America, these things are starting to crop their heads up, like in Ferguson and in other places where, you know, Charleston, where they're inciting people in Baltimore to riot against, you know, I mean, even in Minneapolis recently, there was a shooting of some, you know, black protesters or something, and really probably more so the powers that cause these things to happen.
Right, right. And a lot of times in Ferguson, they actually hired people to come in and try to start the riots, and it didn't work. The people wouldn't fall for it. They wouldn't riot.
Right, and I'm hearing that in Minneapolis, where this violence happened, and I think three people were murdered or something. They're looking into it, and they're implicating the police in the actual, you know, in the actual event. You know, because they want to just keep people down. You know.
Yes, yes. And there was a video that I saw months ago, where the video was made several years ago, where they were talking about that they were going to have race wars, and it was going to start in St. Louis, and it was everything that's happening now. And all of these wars were planned even before Bush got into office. They were going to hit 5 countries in Muslim countries, and we haven't let them do Syria. And I think there was one more we've stopped them from being able to do. So they haven't been able to succeed in their wars in the Middle East.
But we really don't know how the rabbit hole goes down, because, you know, I mean, even the assassination of President Kennedy was, you know, implicated in the fact that it wasn't one person that acted, you know, in this assassination attempt, but it was actually the powers that are the world which dominates, and the wind is, you know, I don't know. Somebody shoveling
Sounds like
snow.
somebody's shoveling snow. Is that on your end?
I'm not hearing you, Mark.
Is there something?
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, no, it just sounded like really weird, like
Yeah, it's like something. Is there a fan on something maybe
is
blowing
that fan maybe hitting the actual
speaker
speaker
microphone?
of the microphone of the computer?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like it gets really loud all of a sudden, and it's like, okay, either that or we have a poltergeist.
Yeah.
One of the two.
What got you interested in the work you do?
God, my daughter. When I was younger, the only thing I wanted was to be a mother. That was my goal in life. It was all I wanted to do. So when I got married, I had a miscarriage trying to get pregnant and wasn't able to. And finally, fertility drugs and everything, and I was able to get pregnant after 11 years. We were in a car accident while I was pregnant with her. And I had a very severe head-on collision, and she had a stroke at the time of the accident, but we didn't know about it until 2 months later when I gave birth to her. And so people would tell me, well, you know, you're being punished for something. God did this to you. You know how people do. And that wasn't my God. My God didn't do that. So I turned away from God for a long time. Didn't want anything to do with him. So I started studying all the different religions and discovered that the Christian religion was one of the most violent of any religion out there. And so I kind of started bringing myself back to spirit. And then my daughter, because of the bump that she received, it caused her to have a stroke, and she ended up being extremely profoundly retarded. And so in my quest to try to help her and to heal her, I learned all of these techniques that ended up helping me too. And she was able to live for 15 years after the doctor thought she would die. She really created a miracle. She was an amazing child, but she was my hero, and she's the one that kind of got me into all of this.
It's interesting through the need of healing the one you love, that all these wonderful techniques and beliefs came into your life, which can you hear us?
No, it's the whole thing froze.
The whole thing froze? Okay, let's try this again. That it was wonderful that you actually learned all these techniques that not only helped your daughter, but now are helping other people as well.
Right. And that, you know, I think that was my whole purpose anyway, because like I said, the only thing I ever wanted when I was younger was to be a mother. That's all I ever wanted. And if somebody had told me then that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I would never have believed it. I was so shy back then, I wouldn't even talk to anybody, much less do what I'm doing now. So it was all, you know, it's almost like I reinvented myself. I went from being that person who only wanted to be a mother to now this person that, you know, it wants to help other people. So it was just kind of part of the growth and part of the progression.
Talking about helping people, there's a lot of people in our world that have a lot of mental blocks, spiritual blocks. What are the biggest blocks do you think people are facing nowadays?
There's so many. It's not, you know, every person is going to have something different. But the one thing that I've noticed that pretty much everybody has is this feeling of being abandoned, from feeling separate, from not feeling like there's this connection, feeling like they're all alone, feeling lonely. That seems to be kind of a universal issue that everybody has.
And that's definitely what we're seeing more and more. And I think all this modern technology that from the TV to computers, I think that kind of, it's almost like it interferes with our own natural frequency and our own natural rhythms.
I agree with that. I think it does. It has connected us in a way that was necessary, because how else would we know that all these people all over the world want love too if it wasn't for the internet? You know, the internet has brought everybody together, but in bringing that togetherness, you've got to have the opposite. You know, the earth is a place of duality. So if you have love, you're going to have hate. If you have connection, you're going to have a disconnection. So, you know, the internet has connected us, but in the same way, it has disconnected that personal touch, you know, because we're not in touch with people, touching them physically and that type of thing as much anymore.
And that's definitely something that we're missing as humans. I mean, I'm kind of concerned for our youth, because that's all they've ever seen. From the moment they step out of the womb, they know how to play with the smartphones, and there's just there's no eye contact anymore. There's no physical contacts, and I don't know if it's all part of what is going to happen. Like you said, this major shift, that we are in this duality, or this plane of duality, that there's good and bad, and we're getting ready to go into another higher plane where, you know, people are going to need to release all the baggage they have in this third dimension in order to go.
Right.
So it is exciting times. At the same time, it's a little bit scary, because that one particular, let's use the dark side, does not want us, I believe, to evolve.
But I think it's interesting that, you know, talking about, you know, the internet and how we're all connected and everything in the world, that the way that we're connected is, a lot of it is wireless technology, and Wi-Fi is a frequency, and it probably interferes with our own electrical systems in some way, probably kind of masks certain things, you know, because, you know, it's just one of those things where we're living in the physical, and these things invisibly are well, how can they learn to let go of these blocks?
There's a lot of ways to let go of blocks. There's a lot of different techniques out there. I have one technique on my website that I created called the energetic clearing technique. Wonderful technique for healing issues. You know, there's tapping that a lot of people use. I haven't found, it doesn't work on everybody. It doesn't work on me. There's a lot of different techniques that can be used, but it's mostly accepting that it's there, you know, because as humans, we don't want to see things about ourselves. And so we don't recognize even that it's there. And so we don't know that we need to let go of it. So it really helps in a lot of cases. You know, the energetic clearing technique or tapping or some of these other techniques can do a lot of healing. But at some point, you're going to have to work with somebody else that's able to more clearly see what's really going on for you, so that they can get into those deeper issues and help you heal them.
I think one of the reasons a lot of people are so lost or not connected to themselves is because they're not out in nature as we are intended to be. We are natural beings, and we're not meant to sit all day long in a cubicle with artificial lights and, you know, be on texting all day and computer. I mean, that is absolutely the most abnormal thing human beings could possibly do. Instead of,
but don't you think that that's what the powers that be planned when they created all of these things for people?
Oh, definitely.
You know, I do think that there is a way that they can be used for good. I mean, we know that. There has to be a way that the Wi-Fi can be done in a way that it doesn't harm people. But they want to harm us. They want to stop us from being connected. They want to shut down our psychic abilities, you know, which a lot of this energy is doing that too for people. They want it to be that way.
I think that Christianity actually has done a lot to close down those avenues, because I remember growing up, because I came from a Christian home, and up until recently, I professed to be a Christian. And the whole concept of opening up your mind and shutting other things out and making things a clear pathway. That was, oh my gosh, I have to think on God. You know, I can't be thinking about anything other than, you know, Jesus and all this, you know. And I think that that's kind of like one of the things that they teach the most is to look up and not within. And without looking within, we can't really discover ourselves.
Yeah, because everything we need is actually already in us. It's a matter of just remembering, because before we came to this beautiful planet and we were in another place, we agreed to do certain things, but we got amnesia when we got down here. And it's people don't realize how amazing they truly are, the abilities that they have. And the way to really connect to those abilities is to connect to Mother Earth, to be out in nature, get away from all this technological craziness that just becomes like an addiction. I mean, you're very much to blame for that. I mean, you sit there hours and hours and you're having arguments with people online regarding all sorts of crazy things. And it just takes you to a very dark, dark place. You almost have to take a deep breath, go outside and say, wait a minute, this is not who I am. This is not me. And, you know, we're programmed by, whether watching television or even online, the frequency and the stuff, the MK Ultra programming that they send us. And people think, oh, that's conspiracy. But, you know, if you really follow that rabbit trail, or how deep you want to go into that hole, you will see that it's not conspiracy. It's actually fact.
Right, and there's been you know, there's going to be a big major disclosure soon, but there has been so much disclosure made already, and a lot of the things that us conspiracy theorists have been saying are starting to be proven true, you know, and that is starting to be released to people. They're doing it slowly, but there's going to be a big release not too long from now that's just going to really shock people really bad.
Definitely. That's what I like to call the rude awakening, you know, and you need to be prepared and, you know, just be mindful and be in a place of love and starting by loving themselves.
Right, right.
So tell us about the many things that interfere with our lives.
About what?
Tell us about the many things that interfere with our lives.
The issues, our fears, our beliefs in what we can or can't do. You know, most of us, so many of us feel that we don't deserve to have good things. We don't deserve to be happy. We don't deserve to have a good relationship or money or a beautiful house or these other things. So again, that's all involved in loving yourself. I think some of the biggest issues I work with people on are all related to deserving, loving themselves, to feel that they're valuable, to feel that they're important, to feel that people are willing to listen to them and they can state what their needs are and get their needs met. But we have to meet our own needs too, and people don't do that. You know, usually, you know, I ask people, what is your first thought when you look at yourself in the mirror? And usually it's something negative. You know, you've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, God, look at those gorgeous eyes, you know, and not see all of the things that you want. You judge, because it's all judgment. You judge it as not being beauty. We have to love our crooked nose and our chubby cheeks and our fat that's on us. We have to learn to love all of that. It's all part of who we are.
Yeah. The problem is that, again, the wonderful TV set that is placed in our living room that we watch every day tells us how horrific we are, that we need to be like that model that's perfect without any lines in the face and it's perfectly skinny. And I mean, even now with this whole gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria that we're seeing, it's like telling people that, well, you're not a beautiful woman, so you should be a man, because you don't really look like a woman, so that must mean you're a man, or a man that's very feminine, you don't look like a man, so you must be a woman. And it's like it's built such an amazing what's the word, credential, what is it when the bands pick up?
Oh yeah, like a time.
What do you think about that, Claudia? what's going on there?
Well, I really think the thing with Bruce Jenner was a publicity stunt. He went to really big extremes, but I really truly think that was a publicity stunt. The thing with people, nothing is ever the wrong way. Nothing is ever a mistake. Everything is always perfect. And I think that's the people who are transgender or even people who are gay, they feel automatically there's something wrong with me. They judge themselves so very harshly. They're not normal. They're not lovable. They're not, there's all these things in there. So there's always hate for themselves. We're born, we choose what sex we're going to be before we're born. That is all chosen. So it's not that God made a mistake and put you in the wrong body. You came here in the body you were meant to come in with. There's certain lessons that you have to learn, and there's things that you have to go through in order to learn those lessons. And we have to learn to just love all of it and to let it be okay. And to just, and to just be okay with whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's a lesson that a lot of us need to learn. I mean, I know that I was judged so much for my mannerism as I was growing up because, and especially with Latin parents, it's like, and Catholic raised and all that stuff, a little girl or a girl is supposed to act a certain way. If you start acting or deviating from that certain way, then automatically you're scolded and told that you're bad. So then what does a person like that throughout the years and finds an answer, which is what is being given to us in this trans narrative? It's like, you could be a man. So it's like, of course, you're jumping at that. Yes, I'm going to be a man because I was a terrible woman. So I must have, it took me all these years to finally realize that, no, I was perfect the way that I was. I was beautiful the way that I was. But I would look at myself and, at the pictures of myself now, and I say to myself, my God, I was beautiful. But back then I didn't think I was.
Right.
So
but
it's like,
you've got to look at yourself today and say that this is perfect too. You needed, your soul chose to go through that experience, to go through the sex change. That was one of the things you had to experience and had to learn. And look at all the people that you have helped through all of these years that you wouldn't have been able to help if you had not gone through what you've been through. It's just like me with my daughter. Had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be able to help people today. It's the same with you and the things that you've been through. So it's always perfect. It's always perfect. And that's what we have to really understand and just drop all of our judgment, because judgment is the opposite of unconditional love. And when we're judging something, we're not being loving.
That's true. Love and fear can't be in the same room. And love is definitely the most amazing energy of all. And we need to not feed the fear and feed the judgment. But like I said before, it's like one of those things we're programmed to believe a certain way. We need to break through all that programming and just.
And it's really hard to get away from the program.
Well, our hearts and souls have been assaulted and in need of healing. Can you elaborate on this?
Whenever we have a trauma in our life, we lose a piece of our soul. For a 2-year-old, it could be mom not letting him have a toy that he really, really wanted. Physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, all of that causes you to lose soul pieces. Falling down, and breaking your arm, you're going to lose a piece of your soul. Breaking up, being in love and breaking up, you lose a piece of your soul. Sometimes you give pieces of your soul away. Like to my daughter, I was always giving her pieces of my soul, trying to help make her better. So we're always losing pieces of our soul. And then we end up, we don't feel whole. We don't feel complete. We feel like there's something missing. We feel that big hole in our heart. We're depressed. We're feeling helpless and hopeless. Those are all some of the signs of soul loss. And in the Native American tradition, that's the main tradition that has taught about soul loss and how to retrieve the soul pieces. But in the shamanic training that is done, they teach people how to return one, maybe two soul pieces at a time, and you never get all your soul pieces back in a lifetime that way. So, and then when I had my soul retrieval done, the person just energetically pulled all the soul pieces in at one time, and that was it. She didn't do anything else, and it was very traumatic. And I slept for a month afterwards because of I was so traumatized from it. So I told the angels, I said, look, there has to be a better way to do this. So they taught me the technique that I use now, where I'm able to return all of the soul pieces in 1-2 sessions, and I heal the soul pieces and the emotional issues that caused them to leave, so that they don't leave again, and there's not that trauma that there was when I had my soul returned.
Well, you did one for me the other day, and for the first couple of days, I felt kind of tired and a little bit emotional. And you actually gave me some information to look at the energetic release, I think it's called. And I've been feeling really, really good. And surprisingly, I've been not taking any hormones, and normally that will get you to feel tired and fatigued. And I'm 51 years old. I'm not a spring chicken, and I don't have any ovaries, so my body's not producing any hormones on her own. But I feel really good and really confident that this is the most amazing choice that I've made, and being gentle with myself. So I really do want to advise our listeners and viewers to contact you at askclaudia.com. You definitely do a great job doing the actual soul cleansing with emotional. Like, as you were talking and sharing with me the things about how I came here. I was supposed to be a boy, but I came as a girl because my mother had a lot of fear of men. And I mean, I just automatically, it's like the tears are coming as you were telling me all these things, that it resonated really true. With the whole father and stuff, a lot of stuff you touched on that was really, really, it hit the point. So I definitely want to thank you for that, and definitely do I want to advise the viewers to actually check you out, because I mean, you really do great work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I've had people tell me after soul retrieval that now they feel strong enough to be able to leave their husband. You know, they feel more powerful. They feel like they can carry on with their life. That's really amazing to hear those kind of things from people. It's majorly amazing. You know, every once in a while I run into somebody that's really been traumatized, and they need more than one session. But you would be surprised. I mean, you noticed how much can be done in just one session. And we don't remember some of this stuff, you know, and we don't look at it. You never would have looked at it in the way that I explained it to you, that you chose all of this. But when we can see that how it really happened and how it came about, it helps us to drop that judgment about it, and to be able to love it. You know, it's all about love.
Definitely, and it's one of those things that forgiveness and non-judgment is one of the biggest healers that we could actually do for ourselves, because we're constantly angry, we're constantly holding on to grudges. You know, I could turn around and say how stupid I was for doing all this stuff, and it's like, no, I'm trying to be very gentle with myself, and knowing that everything that I did had to happen.
Yes, exactly. It had to happen. Yes, that's how we have to understand that. Everything is perfect always. Everything happens because it's there to teach you something. And instead of looking at it we get caught up in the victim, you know, the victim is in that root chakra, and we get caught up as that victim of, well, he did this to me, or it's his fault, or, you know, and we have to look at instead, what do I need to learn from this? Because it's not somebody else doing it to us, it's we need to learn something. And we have to just totally change how we've been taught to think. And it is all about how we've been taught.
Definitely so.
Well, what do you think about, we did touch on this a little bit, but what do you think about what is taking place with gender confusion?
In what? Oh, gender confusion. People, sometimes in another lifetime, you may have really enjoyed being a girl. And so when you're born in this lifetime, you have that memory and you think, well, I need to be a girl because I was in that lifetime. So a lot of it is stuff that you bring in from past lives. A lot of it is just all the judgment. You know, we're taught to judge. We're taught that we're not right and there's something wrong with us.
You're kind of breaking.
And instead of just
Okay. Yeah, hold on, hold that thought, because you're breaking up, so there must be like a little, sometimes the internet, gives a little cough. Are you still there? Uh-oh.
again.
Okay.
Okay, she's back.
No. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you talking, kind of repeat what you said, because you went completely back. Let me see. Here's your generate something. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you now. Sometimes the internet does that.
Well, it seems like the signal's weakened out.
Yeah, the signal might have weakened out on your end. Can you hear us?
Mm.
Russ, go ahead and turn your camera on and off. That might help. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my son to turn his computer off.
Oh yeah, that usually happens when it's broadband.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying, because it got completely cut off.
Everything is perfect. If somebody is supposed to have the surgery because they need to learn something from it, they're going to have the surgery. If they're not supposed to, they won't. So it's just being okay with everything, you know. That's what everybody, to let go of all the judgment. Right. Do not judge somebody because they did it, and don't judge somebody because they didn't. Right. Just to love everybody just as they are.
Definitely, but what I think a lot of people are missing is that they think they need to do something to be a better person or to be perfect and to be accepted in life. And I think if people just realize, if you are a masculine female, then it's okay to be a masculine female. And if you're a feminine boy, then it's okay to be
yes.
Perfection, because in the end, what we're doing is hurting ourselves, and like you said, everything's perfect the way it is.
Right.
So how can people evolve beyond this? How do you think that we could stop being so materialistic, stop being so self-centered, and just always focusing on what we think is wrong with us and always judging yourself? How can we move past that?
People they're so empty inside. People have so much soul loss and so many things that they've been taught is wrong that they just feel empty. So they try to fill that emptiness with stuff, always buying things, doing things. They're afraid to focus on the inside, like you said, going within. People are afraid what they're going to find there. So it's just people first of all, learning to love ourselves. And there's a big difference between being selfish and loving ourselves. There's a big difference in there. But learning to love ourselves and learning to love everybody else and just be okay with what's going on and to really look, like you said, look within, really just get in touch with who we are.
I know that with me, part of this journey in gender and everything has been because I didn't love myself. You know, I mean,
Right.
I seriously, you know, just wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I wasn't comfortable, you know, with the role that I was given to serve, you know, in this life, and it was very difficult for me. And through the gender journey that I've been on, um, you know, Marita and I met. You know, we would never have met had we not been both
Exactly.
on this gender journey. Um,
Exactly.
but it's hard to justify everything as being, you know, because I'm just looking at it objectively. It's hard to justify everything when I have children that are now without their dad anymore. And it's very traumatic and painful for them to have that, you know, and oh, a spouse who didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but you know, I mean, it's difficult, you know, to remedy that thought process as being, you know, oh well, everything happened the way it should, because yeah, great, we met, and that's wonderful, but you know, I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old at home that, you know, he doesn't have his dad, you know, and it's just, you know, it's hard to swallow. Or the
But
person who's,
that happens in the heterosexual community too, where kids don't have their dad. You
yeah,
know, everybody comes in with their lessons that they need to learn, even children. And those children, your child chose to know what it was like not to have their father around, to learn what lessons it could learn by having a father that was transgender. That child made those choices too on a soul level before coming in. So everything's happening for that child the way it's supposed to too.
That's why I try to
Yeah,
explain. That's why I try to explain to her as well that, you know, there are contracts that we come with when we come to this plane, and everybody
yes,
has a role to play. And sometimes there are things that happen in another lifetime that weren't resolved. I mean, you could have been my mother in another lifetime, and things of that nature where you come back and interact and learn and grow, because we're here to grow. We don't just born and then die just, you know, like nothing. No, we're here for a reason, and it's part of our soul evolution. And things are really
well, understanding that in the scope of how that's presented is wonderful, but you know, in the scope of like of being a Christian and everything, that just never fit the paradigm, you know. So once I was able to break out of that box, I was able
right.
to.
And you know, the Christian religion is God did this to me. You know, God did this. It's not I did this, and it's all about personal responsibility. You know, accepting responsibility for ourselves, and that we create everything in our reality. It's not easy to do. I fully admit I'm not perfect with it. It's something I am still learning. It's hard. It's very hard to do. It's not easy,
Oh, if it
but
were
we
easy,
have to accept our responsibility.
we wouldn't be here. I always say, while we're still alive, we have things that we have to work on. If we had worked on all the things, we'd be up there somewhere playing an instrument in some other dimension or flying around or whatever it is that we do. But
Well, I was just going to ask you about, you know, what do you mean when you say angels, and where do they come from? And you know, because the way I was taught, you know, was a certain way from Bible, but is there a different definition of angel and how they operate on the planet?
Angels are a special type of being. Some people say they're like an alien species, but they're their own species of beings. The angels are. We also have spirit guides, which is people who died and are now with us. But an angel can be incarnated as a human. I've known a lot of people that are incarnated angels. I have a lot of angel in me. But a human cannot become an angel. That makes sense? You know, they're their own special species. But they're just the angelic realm is just pure love. It's just pure love.
Would you say that it's a sort of frequency or energy that transcends into our reality, and some people are capable of seeing these light beings, other people feel them, and they're actually like servants, if you want to say, if you want to call it that, that are here, that are maybe have transcended, have reached a level of self-actualization, and now are here in this realm helping us, and they may go back and forth. Would that be a good definition?
Yes, yes. The angel, when I see an angel, I see just light. My kitty decided she had to get in my lap. I see just pure light. It's just, I don't see a form, I just see light. Some people see a form. They're going to appear to you the way you want them to or need them to. They're very powerful. They help me a lot in my healing. There's a lot of times, and I think I did it with you the other day, where I start doing some healing on you, and then I let the angels take over so I can do something else. So they help me a lot in my healing.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed with me is what I call my higher self, and the way I try to relate that is like an avatar in another dimension that I get connected with during my dream stage or astral projection stage. And sometimes I remember things clear as day. Other times it's just like a download in my subconscious level. And, you know, instead of praying like normally people pray to God, I kind of connect with my higher self and let that higher self guide me throughout my life. And, you know, I think that's something that would help a lot of people. Then meditation, you know, connecting to the higher self. And because I think of source, the great I am, the universe, as, you know, the big kahune, but we don't really bother. I mean, I don't think that we should bother with the high kahune. There's other individuals like angels and higher selves that actually do the job for the great I am. Am I totally off on that, or?
I think the higher self is something within you. I don't think it's something outside. I think the higher self is something within us. And the higher self is really connected to lessons, you know, learning lessons. The higher self to me would be very serious, you know, our growth, what we need to learn, what we need to do. And then we have the inner child, which is also within, which is all about fun and games and, you know, having a good time. So I think both of those are parts within us and not something outside. That's that separation. We've been taught to look outside of us and not look within. And I think that higher self is actually within us. The creator, I see the creator as energy, just energy. And it's like the electric, you know, there's that plug in the wall, and you can plug something in it to heal somebody, or you can plug an electric chair in it to kill somebody. That energy, the electricity doesn't care. And I think it's the same with God. God is just that energy, and we plug into it, and then it's up to us what we do with it.
Now, I was wondering, as far as like energies go, like the masculine energy and the feminine energy, it seems to me, and I'm not very, you know, well versed in this whole thing of the spiritual and everything, but it seems to me that women have an access to a certain realm of energy that men are not disposed to. Would that be fair to say in this, you know, in this life?
Women's intuition, I think, is, or that empathic thing that women have more.
Oh, okay. Women, that's all what we've been taught. Again, you know, men were taught you have to be the hunter-gatherer, you have to go out and work, you have to be, you know, and the woman is the one that stays home and takes care of the kids. I've seen men who are just as empathic and just as intuitive as women. It's just getting in touch with that part of us again, because we've been taught that we're not supposed to be that way. I mean, it's just like with transgender, you know, we've been taught that we're not supposed to be intuitive. So I don't think it's a it's just that, you know, women have more intuition. It's just that women are more willing to get in touch with their intuition because of what we've been taught.
Because men have been taught they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't be emotional, so they almost shut that part of themselves down.
Yes.
And we all, I believe
Yes.
we all have a male and a female side as part of our yin and our yang. And I think we're here on this realm to learn how to balance that yin and the yang, you know, because the duality
Yes.
is walking in that fine tightrope and not falling, learning how to balance ourselves.
Right. That's exactly it. That's the whole point.
Yes. I wanted to share, let me go here and share your website. And let me just kind of go down here. You've got some free ebooks that you provide people and free email classes. And then you also, people could visit askclaudia.com. A lot of good stuff here for them. And are you still writing some blog entries like you have in the past? Or?
Yes, I haven't been as fluent in it lately, I guess. You know, like I said, the last 3 years have been tough, and I'm still having a hard time getting going completely again. But you know, whenever something comes to me, I do write a blog post. It's not as often as I would like to, but yes, I am still writing.
You working on. And by the way, we haven't gotten any calls tonight. Last time we were on, the phone was ringing off the hook. Anyone wants to text a question to Claudia, they could text at 575-519-5930. You could call, you could text in the question. It's up to you. So tell us about your projects, Claudia.
I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going next. You know, I've written several books. I'm trying to write a book about Samantha's life, but I keep getting stuck and can't get it written. I want to do more writing. I want to do some teaching. I want to learn how to use Google Hangout and start doing some Hangouts. But it's just reaching out. I think it's time for me. I've been in my little cave in that dark night of the soul, and now it's time to come out again. And I think it's just reaching out to people and finding out what do people need and how can I help. It's time for me to be more of service than I ever have been.
Well, it's very much needed at the times that, you know,
yes.
take place. All this terrorism. I mean, they're making people now get passports, and everything is just, it's becoming such a police state. And
yes.
It's, you know, I think that we, the people, the spirits on this planet, have control of changing everything and stepping into our light and just putting the darkness aside, thanking the darkness for what it's done, because I believe, as you believe, I'm sure that there's no such thing as bad or good. Things just are. So we need to thank the darkness. We need to thank what I like to call the reptilians, and they've done a great job. And now it's time for the light to come in. It's time for the healing, for us to let go of all the negative and the baggage and get ready for the ascension of the fourth dimension.
Yes.
Living in very exciting times.
Very exciting. I don't know if you've heard of Corey Good. He was in the secret space program, and he has recently come out and he is starting to tell about his experiences, with, you know, out in space. And he said that they would put these people through like a war. It would be a hologram. They would think they were in the middle of a war. And if they fought back, things would get worse. But if they could just stop and say, wait a minute, and get in their heart and just love, it would all disappear. And that is kind of how we live. You know, this is all a hologram. And if we can all just get into our heart and love, it's all going to disappear, and we'll be in this fourth dimension that's pure love.
It's interesting. We were watching that show. It's called The Man in the High Castle or something. It's an Amazon show, and it's kind of supposing that the Allies had lost, and the Japanese and the Germans actually took over the United States, and it has that element of actualization,
Right.
and you know,
And even time travel at
and
the
time
end.
travel
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah, because I mean, I truly
That is actually part of the disclosure, because in reality, what Corey is saying is that the Germans won. They didn't lose, they won. And we brought all of those Germans over here, and they started teaching us things. So they did kind of take over the United States, you know? So that's just part of the disclosure, trying to open people's eyes to what the reality was.
because we've been told a lot of lies. I believe this is
Oh,
the
yes.
matrix, and you know, people are so busy in their jobs and busy buying things, and you know, they're not really tapping in and realizing what's actually happening in our world. And like you said,
Right.
the disclosure that's going to be coming up really soon, and people are just it's going to be a massive rude awakening, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the people think disclosure means UFOs and ETs, but I don't think that's what they mean. I think it's more what the government has done, the truth coming out, things like that. I don't think it's going to necessarily be ETs and stuff, although they are letting out a little bit of disclosure about that. But the ETs are not going to come save us.
Of course
We
not.
have to save ourselves.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't realize when they say ETs or aliens or UFOs, they think of little green men and little, how do you call those? The grays, which are actually hybrids. They live among us. They are part of the governmental, the shadow government. They're actually controlling the world, and they walk around looking like you and I. And that's, I believe, what's going to be the disclosure. There's a lot of things that we're going to find out, how we've been lied to, and that the world as we know it is not at all as it is. And yeah, it's exciting. I mean, a lot of people, you could either go into the place of light and not let fear take over your heart and realize it is what it is. It's exciting. We need a change. We can't continue to live the way we're living. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, since we didn't get any callers tonight? But any other messages you might have?
The thing, it's just all about love. That's just, you know, that's the message. It's just all about love.
Yeah.
And that's one of the hardest things you can do is learn to love everything and everybody.
Yeah, there's a book I read, and I forgot now, but it's the Christ Consciousness, and it really teaches you how to live in forgiveness and in love no matter what, and stop judging. And it's a very, what's it called, the 7 miracles or something like that. I read it a while back, and you know, it's tapping in to that Christ consciousness. People think that Christ is going to come and save them. It's not the actual physicality of Jesus coming back. It's our own consciousness that's going to be the anointed consciousness, you know, and that's what we have to tap into, that the love and unconditional love for ourselves and for others and for our planet. And even Mother Earth is going through some changes herself. So exciting times.
Yes. They were actually a Project Bluebeam.
Yes.
We're getting an Project Bluebeam that was supposed to be a hologram of Christ returning.
Yeah.
They did have that planned.
Yeah, I heard about that a while back. I woke up in 2008, and I, you know, anything from David Wilcock to Jordan Maxwell, Michael Tessarian, who else? David Icke. I mean, just great teachers out there that I've been listening to since 2008. And yeah, we're seeing it slowly. Things are materializing, and things will take place. Anyway,
and when all the disclosure does come out, people are going to freak out. You know, a lot of these people that know none of this, they are going to totally freak out. And that's when people like you and I are going to really be needed, because we've known this, and we're going to have to be able to calm everybody back down.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get interesting.
It is. It's really going to get interesting. Well, thank you so much, Claudia, for spending this time with us, and we send you lots of love and healing, and thank you for all that you do, and Keep in touch.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, well,
Right.
thank you everyone for tuning in. We're going to have one more show before we go on our Christmas holiday. We are
Oh, I thought we were going on a cruise.
No, not a cruise.
Oh,
Christmas holiday.
Sounded better.
Cruise sounds good. Yeah, do one of those when we move back to South Florida in the near future. But yeah, we're going to be spending some time with my family, the in-laws for the first time, and yeah, that'll be interesting. And try to spend a warm Christmas. It's going to be a cold one here in Silver City. But we will have one more show before we go on a break for probably around a month or so. Just take some time off.
And Maritza's going to break out some of her favorite Christmas carols. Probably.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in yet again, and have a great evening. And